Good morning and welcome to Promptcraft Live. This is our audience-led interactive podcast-style session for advanced Midjourney users. We're live for a 2-hour event designed for discussion and even friendly debate, not just passive listening. Today's big question is, what is art? Yeah, no big deal, just the hardest question ever. Totally casual. Our guest is Kentridge. She's a senior docent at the Blanton Museum of Art, where she leads specialized tours, whether it's Aboriginal Australian art or contemporary favorites or the spotlights in their rotating galleries. She's known for her ability to guide small groups and spark smart conversations about styles and techniques in cultural context. She also guides interactive sessions at the Harry Ransom Center, where groups explore rare items like original Einstein notes, first edition manuscripts, and photographic archives. Her tours make these artifacts feel current and meaningful, and she's praised for engaging guests in questions and personal reactions. This morning, she's talking directly to you, directly to us. Midjourney prompt writers and AI image makers and visual storytellers will dig in to how we define art, how meaning happens, and what value AI-generated images bring to the conversation. So this is your time to speak and ask and even challenge. It's not a lecture. Expect an honest, open conversation. So clear your mind and bring your ideas. And please help me welcome Kentridge.
Hi, everyone. I do want to go on record as saying most of what I do has actual people in front of me rather than avatars. So this is a first for me, other than Zoom calls. I do want to say thank you to Clarinet for inviting me. And I do want to start off by saying the very question that what is art? Is a thorny question in and of itself, as we know, and why we're here to unpack that very question. So again, I'm very happy to be here, and I'll take my lead from Clarinet.
So, Kentridge, how would you like to introduce the topic of where is art to us?
The question of what is art and who is an artist itself is as old as the hills. What I want to suggest to our community here is to have an open mind about the question and to think and put themselves back in ancient times where humans have always wanted to make a mark. We can talk about cave paintings. We can talk about Aztec and Mayan and ancient field marks that are seen from above. The idea of making a mark and telling a story on stone, on walls, in fields, on wood, using whatever means necessary to add color from nature. All of this are the beginnings of what we think of as art, which is art is mark making. And what has become what we think is the accepted view of art is in fact a kind of a myth, because we are here in Midjourney using AI, but we have to think of all the eras of art. If we go back, as I say, to cave paintings and then move to the Renaissance mannerism, Baroque, going through the eras, impressionism, abstract art, abstract expressionism, minimalism, figurative, landscape. All of these things are topics of art, and how a human being makes their mark on a medium, whether it's wood, paper, fields, caves, computer screens, whatever it is the making of the narrative. Where we get confused, I think, is that the outside world may not consider AI art at the moment,
Well,
but
can I stop you there?
what do you, yes, stop me there, because I want to go into elements of art, but first ask me,
Well, let me
what
ask
would
you
you
this.
interject?
I
Yes,
would interject just to get everyone on the same page.
yes.
What would um, an old school scholar of fine art say is the definition of art? Because I don't
The
think
old
we all
school, yeah.
know.
Well, the old school definition of art is that art follows some basic rules, even though there are all these isms, and every single ism and every single era, the reason for these isms is humans embarking on making marks on mediums have broken those old school for them. So there was the Renaissance, which was old school, and the Baroque, which was new school, hated, then loved. Then Mannerism, which was the new school, challenging the old school of
So
Baroque, and so on. So,
so
in other
each
words, the old school definition of art is really is the current mark making adhering to some basic principles.
what are the basic principles? Are they stuff like the art has the artist has intention and the art produces emotional reaction? What
So,
what are the what
so the old school definition of art is very simple things like understanding what a flat image of a real object, how to present that flat image using line, color, diagonals, um, um, design, aesthetics, and so on. But at the same time, many old school artists, art historians feel that, and this may be where the rubber hits the road, most art historians feel that even as you look at the evolution of art to even performance art in the real world, and performance art in video art, most old school art historians feel that all art should be narrative,
narrative? What does
even
that
if
mean?
narrative me add to the conversation of social, cultural, political, religious, um, sort of societal issues. So, for example, um, there's an artist today, um, Betzabé Romero, who
How do you
uses
spell that?
the
I'll bring him up.
it's a her.
Her.
Betzabé, I think it's Betisee Romero. I'd have to check the spelling, but she uses the lowly tire. I'll have to find the spelling of her name.
Yeah, I see. Betzabé. Mexican visual artist born in Mexico City
Right,
in
right. So
1963.
she uses, when we think of a tire is something that is made of rubber and generally speaking moves either by an engine or someone rolling it and so on. But a tire can be symbolic of migration or immigration or industrial worker slavery. I mean, she used or bringing forth. You can see what she's doing to the tire here with Aztec symbols, and she's making the she's using this medium of a rubber tire to express social conditions. And she's got a body of work from the 1970s that uses the tire. Other artists might use bottle caps
Right.
or just acrylic paint and so on.
So, do
So,
you
but the
think
idea is, should art, we could ask ourselves, should art be not only an expression of new ways of demonstrating and allowing people to relate to a landscape, a social condition, a cultural condition, a religious condition, a political condition? Should art do that? Or should art just be a dot on a page or a, an imaginary portrait of no one in particular? So
so you
we are
think that
in an era.
you think that it might be that people look at the how much digital art is just being churned out, and they say to themselves, what does this mean? Why is there no meaning? Why is it not making me feel anything? And it's because a lot of AI artists are just exploring, thrilled, like imagine when the first pigments of paint, like the new blue came out, and suddenly is it Titian Titian
Well, Titian, I wouldn't,
Titian
yeah.
he suddenly just it was this freaking turquoise blue everywhere, because it was novel, and it,
Well,
and it
I
sold.
wouldn't use Titian, I would use Veronese, but I
Veronese.
would go to the Impressionists because nearly all of us and all of our community may have heard of Titian and Veronese in it. But let's go to more contemporary times, which is um, the Impressionists. They were hated. They were called Impressionists because the critics said, these are just impressions of art. This is not actually art. So we're in an era now where could art be simply the imagination of the creator with no with no intention of the viewer having some an emotional response other than, wow, that's interesting or that's good? Or could AI be like other isms and errors and say we have a new technology, because even paint was a new technology.
Right.
Paint was mixed with beetles, crushed cochineal beetles or Kermes beetles, where the word crimson comes from. Before there was the New World, there was no paper. If you think of it, everything about art from the early eras was new technology. So AI is possibly a new technology, but it might be, if I might suggest, that it might be the responsibility of the AI practitioner to have the word art associated with AI intentionally. There are plenty of people doing graphic design and AI art for the
And
brilliance
marketing
of the images,
images and
right, and so on. But if there's an AI practitioner out there who, and there are more and more appearing, whose work is displayed in museums, admittedly curated by the elite, I understand that, but AI art on video which we call video art at the moment, but it's a close relative to what could become AI art, could be displayed in museums, but the curatorial community is going to look for a body of work, is going to look for some thematic sequence, some adding to the conversation of society's issues, whether it's climate change, sex trafficking, food challenges, um, religion, politics, even life and death, immigration. Could AI artists find it in themselves to not only produce pleasing images, but also adhere to some of the more accepted principles of art, which is a narrative. There's a story behind it.
Yeah, I love your call to action here. The call to action, the challenge she's placing before, the
Yeah,
Promptcraft community is see if you can say something with AI art. I mean, we can make social media posts that say, which which dress do you like better, the pink, the blue, or the green? Because we can make people in green and blue dresses very easily, and we can then play with our friends by asking them, what the favorites are, or we can um create music videos just because we can, and it's just novel and amazing. But the call to action is, um, if this is AI art, do we have, can we start projects that are going to, shake up the viewer, make the viewer go, oh. And there are a lot of stuff. There's a lot of AI art stuff that goes viral, and the stuff that goes viral generally um, is the stuff that meets Kentridge's call to action here. In other words, it has something to say. It's doing something unusual. It's making
I
you
think
feel something.
I think AI, Serena is saying, what are we doing? We're just having a discussion about what is art. And I'm saying that, I mean, I'm a beginner in Midjourney myself, and I'm saying I write poetry, so I use words from my poems to create images. But even in writing poetry, while it's intensely personal and the images are personal, I'm acutely aware that some of it should be universal and relevant and comprehensible in some way to a reader. I do feel I have a responsibility to the reader or the viewer, in our case, with art. I think there is some responsibility to step outside ourselves and create images that really give the viewer some pause to understand the color and the emotions, and the message of my piece. Now, if you're just doing it
Message.
for the sake of the images that you can create by using the prompts in unique and fantastic ways, that's certainly a choice. But if your choice is, I want to be an AI artist, just like the artists of the past. I mean, some people hated Leonardo da Vinci. They thought he was just messing around with other drawings and aqueducts, and his Last Supper was badly done. It's fading. It wasn't mixed correctly for the wall, the fresco. Throughout history, artists have been maligned for one thing or another. It's fine to be maligned, but it also tells us that, hey, if I want people to really connect emotionally, socially, culturally, or in some way with AI as art, I have to provide them with a story. I have to be a storyteller, and it has to be symbolic, not 100% obvious, but with a hint of obvious to provide a pathway to the story or the message or the idea behind my image.
That's beautiful. I'm gonna stop us again because we do have some people who have joined the event a little late and missed the introduction. I'm going to run through the introduction
Okay.
again to help orient people to what we're doing here. Good morning and welcome to Promptcraft Live. This is our audience-led interactive podcast style session for advanced Midjourney users. We're live for a 2-hour event designed for discussion, even friendly debate, not just passive listening. So keep up that chat. And if you would like to use your microphone, just let us know and we can unmute you. Today's big question is what is art? And our guest is Kentridge, who's been speaking. She's a senior docent volunteer at the Blanton Museum of Art. And she also guides sessions at the Harry Ransom Center. And this morning she's talking directly to us, and we're digging into how we define art, how meaning happens, and what value AI generated images bring to the conversation. So this is your time to speak and ask and even challenge. So please help me welcome Kentridge as we continue our conversation. I'd like to invite our listeners to ask questions or make comments.
I
Serena
would
says,
like to
oh,
I would like to answer Serena, who says her daughter loves the language of painting. She enjoys expressing herself through her artwork. To me, she is an artist. I think that's absolutely true that art is expressing oneself, and that is the beginning of an artist. The first thing is to look around you, um, see a landscape or imagine something and put it down on paper. For example, Serena says, I can't draw. And I tell people in my work teaching at the Blanton Museum of Art and the Harry Ransom Center, people say, are you an artist? And I say, I can't draw a straight line, but I can talk about a straight line for a very long time. So again, art is expressing yourself. But if you want your art to make a difference to communities or the public at large, other than for yourself, then some sort of narrative or storytelling, observation, conversation should kind of permeate some of what you're showing. If you're making art with crayons, with engravings, etchings, lithographs, acrylics, just tires, bottle caps, pennies, whatever you use is for yourself. That is indeed art for yourself. If you
I
want your
see.
art, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
There's an
yeah. So
external art and an internal art.
there's an art that intends a conversation with society and art which intends a conversation with self.
Exactly. It doesn't make, neither one is better or worse. There's no better or worse. All art is valuable to the maker. It's only if you have something to say that you feel can move the needle
Mm,
in the viewer
right.
of a particular thought that you
So
have, then you have to start understanding symbols, line, color, design, and so on as pivotal to the expression of the idea or the words.
we have a question from Quam. Kentridge, are there actually words that can define what is not art?
That I love that question because that brings me to minimalism. The minimalists are the most maligned of all artists because there's an artist called Sol LeWitt who you can look him up. He's a conceptual artist. He said they're trying to break the rules, and AI can break the rules, but even then, Sol LeWitt would say, I am an artist because I have the idea of what I want. And I'm going to give you on a piece of paper, Mr. Public or Mrs. Public or whatever, I'm going to give you this piece of paper and you do the art on the wall of the museum. I won't even be there. It's like, and every time his work is done this way in a museum, it's different. Why? Because the human hand, which he was trying to take out the human hand, in a way, he was like a precursor of AI. He said, the human doesn't, you just need to understand the directions. So if I have a recipe for a cake and I give this recipe to all of us here, we all make that cake. I guarantee that cake will have differences for every one of us, even though it's the same ingredients. So Sol LeWitt said, I don't even need to be there. I don't even have to make the art. I just need to give you the concept on paper. So you
Wow,
can
that's
see,
very, very that's very cool metaphor for Midjourney users.
right. So in other words, you have the framework for, we could call AI, I mean, all art is artificial. It's a person making something on a medium of canvas, parchment, whatever they use, of a landscape. The landscape is out there. The artificial visual representation of the landscape is what we're doing, wherever we're doing it, even on the screen. But nevertheless, the, the idea is, even with Sol LeWitt, what he did have a concept, and he was able to express that concept. Oh, someone's put up a Sol LeWitt. So if you look at Sol LeWitt, almost all, you never in academics say always, most of his work is the workers at the museum following his instructions on the wall of the museum. So if you think of AI as art, you could think of it as AI is conceptual art. There is an idea, and anyone, even me who can't draw a straight line, can follow using a tool or a methodology or whatever we want to call it, uh, of Midjourney. Even I can make a work of art. However, if it's just like a one-off for me, then it's not moving the conversation forward about a story, a narrative, even if it's your story, loss, grief, joy, birth, the story can be anything, but it has to have you in it, and it has to have elements of universality that we can, all humankind can find the relevance to themselves in
Hey,
some way.
Kentridge, look, Kwam says I've seen a piece like that in Austin somewhere. Each viewer was encouraged to place a piece of tape in a straight line on the wall.
Yeah, that was indeed the Blanton Museum of Art Sol LeWitt show.
That was your, were you a docent for that?
Yes.
Amazing. Did Kwam, do you have any particular questions about, I mean, she was there. She's the guy. She's the man. She's the one. She's the boss. The volunteer
So
boss.
does anyone have, I can see some remarks. He was influenced, Sol LeWitt. That's another thing about influences. It's absolutely interesting for artists to go back and pull threads from the past. So you can go again to the Last Supper or altarpieces from the Renaissance. Um, there's an artist called Philip Evergood who has a painting called Dance Marathon. If anyone, there you are, there are some of these things. If someone wants to look up Dance
Marathon.
Marathon by Philip Evergood, he is expressing through art industrialization and poverty and the direst of conditions during the Depression era. So a photographer. So here's Dance Marathon. These are the people who danced almost till death just to get um, some money to buy a loaf of bread for their family. And you can see the circle. Can everyone see the circle in the front of the painting?
Yes.
And when you look at that carefully, what Philip Evergood is saying is that the sort of fat cats, you can see there's people with nail polish and gold bracelets and plump hands watching these people, and that we are on that side of the bar. So we are complicit in creating the depression in some way. And there are lots of symbols in this painting. Time, there's a Mickey Mouse, a corporate Disney, like almost like a
Mm-hmm.
show watching people suffer. So you can see, you can look at this as just a painting, or you can unpack it for the message it's saying, which is even relevant today with the 1% and the have-nots and the poverty and the food challenges and
Mm-hmm.
that we're
Mm-hmm.
facing in our
So
time right now.
let me take you back for a moment.
Yes.
So uh just to orient the audience, I met with Kentridge in order to discuss setting up this event. And one of the things we looked at was a Midjourney image. And it was a Midjourney image of sort of a tropical beach with a glass of tonic water, um, and the tonic water had ice in it. And what I saw in the ice was that in fact it wasn't just ice in tonic water and for the rich guy on the yacht. It was actually an iceberg. It was a melting iceberg in his glass of water. And so it was quite meaningful commentary on climate change, that this rich guy was drinking tonic water with the very melting icebergs of the Arctic in his tonic water while he jetted around on the yacht. But when Kentridge looked at the same image, and granted, she was much closer to it and has better eyesight than I do, she saw that the iceberg that I saw that made this such a meaningful image was probably was clearly, actually, when we got close enough to it, a lemon. It was a lemon sitting at a quirky angle against one of the ice cubes. So in fact, it was not this incredible which now, like, I want to make the image of because mine is very deep. But Kentridge was pointing out, no, this isn't art. This is a picture of this is the sort of thing you would put on the in a hotel room or something. And and it was just strange to me how two viewers, one person who, but through a misunderstanding of what I was seeing, saw it as incredibly meaningful and moved the needle. And Kentridge, looking at the same piece of art, saw Drek. And
No, I didn't see. I didn't
I
see.
know,
I think
but
I
it's an
think
incredible
Symbolic.
example of
Yeah,
the issue.
I think Symbolia says, I think art and its meaning can also be read by how you currently feel at the moment. For example, this piece often evokes hysterical laughter by me, in particular. But this is a good example of how anything can be art. This artist is actually referring to the the workers and how we actually get food, and it's sort of duct taped into boxes and shipped, but we never, or clothes, we never find out who is actually picking the fruit, who is growing the fruit, who's making money from it. We just sort of put a tape over it, box it up, and we go to the grocery store and buy it without any thought whatsoever.
So my
So this is
question to you,
actually, yeah,
right. So the artist supplied a narrative around this piece of with the banana with the duct tape. Thanks, Jacob.
but he make the artist is saying, here's a banana and duct tape. Think about a banana. So for the first time that week, you're actually thinking about a banana, not eating it. You're
But
thinking about.
wouldn't you have to have a teacher or an instructor or someone
No,
to help you?
what are we all seeing, Clarinet?
A banana
What are we
duct tape
seeing?
to the
Literally seeing. Yes,
right.
we're seeing a banana and duct tape. There is no doubt about that. What the artist is doing is throwing this in our face to get us to think about food and where it comes from
What if that's
and
not what I
how
think? I'm really
you. That's another thing about art. The
mm,
artist, in this particular case, the artist is very intentional, but a lot of art, like who can I, Ansel Adams and his abstract art, not Ansel Adams, Ellsworth Kelly and his abstract art, and even Ellsworth Kelly has said literally in his writings, I don't actually care what the viewer sees as long as there's some connection. He has an Ellsworth Kelly piece. As long as there's some connection. So what Ellsworth Kelly has done that we old school people know, he's abstracted the sky. He's abstracted a sunset. He's not literally giving you a sunset, but if you want to see a floating oval across a canvas with a blue square around it, he's fine with that. But at the same time, it is an abstraction of the natural world.
you
So
mean if you
yeah,
ask him, he'll tell you, "Oh, I was thinking of a floaty
yes.
in a lake when I did this and I just
Like you
abstracted."
look at you look at Ellsworth Kelly. Ellsworth Kelly says in his own writing and his own interviews,
Hmm.
I paint from nature. And you look at this and you see a blue square and a red ovalish thing, or these other abstractions.
Hmm.
But if you look at the black and white abstraction on the far right,
Yes.
those are the shadows of the doors of his barn on his farm.
Got it. We actually in Promptcraft games we have a game called Composition in which I describe the world in the terms of Ellsworth Kelly. I say it's a blue field, and near the bottom is red, and then everyone strives to make a composition which obeys those rules. And so what I'm describing is exactly like one of these paintings. And so I might say, it's angular black bars with some white negative space. And some people will create tree branches against a winter sky, and some people will create uh, shadows, and some people will create a black room with two open doors, and some people will create.
Right.
And so
So,
the whole room of people, like we get 40 compositions that obey
right.
Ellsworth Kelly rules.
And I wanted to answer Cole Taylor draws the viewer into the pursuit of meaning. Yes, but it also draws the viewer into the pursuit of looking. It's amazing how we think we're looking, but when I put people in front of, say, Dance Marathon or another work of art, and we go from one corner of it to the other, to the center, to the sides, and we write down what we see and we go around the room. It's amazing how someone will say a bird and someone will say, a bird? I don't see a bird. So looking is a skill. Listening is a skill. Reading is a skill. Interpreting all of that is indeed, I think, what the pursuit of art is looking at the natural world, the social world, the cultural world, the political world, the religious world, and unpacking its meaning for yourself, but being responsible for and understanding that someone else will be looking at that work. And is there indeed anything you want to say to the someone else or not? If there isn't, there isn't. Then it's for yourself and it's fine. But one can never expect the viewer or the reader, in the case of poetry or any sort of books, to really get the exact meaning or the exact purpose of your work, and you are in control of how much you want your viewer to understand that you are expressing an idea, a story, or an opinion through your art. It's up to you to decide the level of understanding or connection that your viewers should have. But if there's nothing, if it's just a beautiful image, and I've seen some incredible images on Midjourney, just stunning, but I don't remember them when I walk out the door. Whereas I remember Ellsworth Kelly, I remember Leonardo da Vinci, I remember Rubens, I remember Manet and Monet. There's something about art that conveys something that you intend, that works with the viewer, that they carry with them for a very long time,
So
versus a graphic image that's brilliant but forgettable.
got it, got it. So you would say that some Midjourney pieces are art and some Midjourney pieces are not. And we have to be resilient about saying, you're right, the thing I made for my Twitter post isn't quote art. It's an image. I made an image. I make lots of images to accompany lots of messages and purposes that I have. Some are business purposes and some are social purposes and some are just self-indulgent purposes, some are exploratory and so on. But so not every image I make with Midjourney is art, but there are some images that I will make with Midjourney that will absolutely be art because they
I will
participate
say,
in that conversation.
yeah, I will say that the public feels that, not in all cases, because there are actually AI art appearing in museums, which, again, as I say, the elites are picking those artists. But the idea that AI, even other text and so on, but that AI art or AI images don't involve skill. The fact is that it becomes art if an AI artist or an AI practitioner, let's say, decides I'm going to follow some of the elements of art using a diagonal to indicate movement. I know we can do video, but let's just say we're not doing video. I'm going to use red to mean anger, or blue to mean holiness, or whatever the symbol, the symbolism. I'm going to use the symbolism of color. I'm going to use the aesthetic of line. I think AI would, if AI wants to, if some people want their AI work to be in the art world, developing the skills sort of on paper is not a bad idea. Like, for example, I love music. I can read music. But I can't play the piano. But I can. Do you see what I mean? I have the foundation of music. I know how to read notes on sheet music, even though I don't know how to play. If you can know the elements of art, the fundamentals of art, old school, let's say, but then interpret them and reimagine them in the AI world, I believe that AI does require skills, art
You've
skills,
tried
to
it.
be called art.
Well, it requires skills to use the tool, prompting skills, for example, and it also
But yeah,
requires you're saying art education.
a little bit of art education. So even if you're working with the prompts, now that you've decided your work wants to be submitted to museums as art, I'm just saying that facetiously, but let's say now you're saying to yourself, when you're thinking of the prompt, you might say, you might use your words more judiciously and fine tune your words and your style and your color and fine
Because
tune it.
you're trying to create a
Right.
specific composition that will interact with the societal conversations about
Yes,
AI.
I
But let
think,
me ask you this. I put
yes,
one of the famous Ellsworth Kellys down. That's the one that
yes,
I
we
saw
have
in
that at the
person.
Blanton.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. It's very good. Um, but if I made a similar thing uh and I said I made and I had the same narrative as Ellsworth Kelly behind it, but then Ellsworth Kelly, for example, or me, we said, but I made this with Midjourney. A lot of people will say even if it is, let's use the glass with the iceberg in it and it's really compelling image about climate change, or the Ellsworth Kelly, which is really challenging your idea of etc. The moment you say what tool you used to craft it, even though it took a week of work to get it to do this, so it's not easy. um People dismiss it just because of the tool you used. Is there a history of that in the art world, that because you used Photoshop it's not good photography anymore, or because you
Well,
used
photography is a very good example. The Harry Ransom Center has the largest collection of photography from very early days, pre-Daguerre and pre-everything. And the reason we have that is because people thought photography was low life and not really art. And Hill and Anderson, Daguerre and Niesp and others all worked very hard to convince people that photography could indeed be a simple portrait of a person or a tree or a bird, but it could also be art. And how did they do that? They went back to paintings and said, why is this painting art of this landscape, say, and these trees, but my photograph of these trees is not art? And they saw in the paintings, they saw what we just discussed, that if we apply the idea of line, if we look at how the Japanese woodblocks are, where the tree is in a mad place and the perspective is all weird, if we do that in our photography, then it becomes more than um, just the object on paper. If we add some art elements to our photography, we this is how we've convinced people, and there are artists today who've convinced museums that photography done from their cell phones using the elements of painting in their cell phone photography has elevated my cell phone photography to what they're doing, and their work is now in museums.
What do you agree with
Ansel
that?
Adams,
How do you feel?
I
How do
do.
you feel about that? How do you feel about the fact that until you do this, that you won't be considered that? What what do you feel about that?
You know, I think you can break rules, but Ansel Adams, photographers thought that his work was not realistic because Ansel Adams said, what we're looking at here This is a famous Ansel Adams photograph. What Ansel Adams says, if you go to this exact spot, which millions of people have done, incidentally, gone to Yellowstone, and if you go to this exact spot, to this tree and this rock, you
Mm-hmm.
will not see what I saw. Why? Because I took the picture and I went back to the dark room where they had dark rooms in those days,
Mm-hmm.
and I manipulated the picture to have a sort of faded cloud and shadows and various techniques to create the various shades and tonalities, just like a painting. So the tree is an artwork because it's not the actual tree. It's a representation of the tree which evokes something in the viewer of
So
design, of
do you think that as the public becomes more aware of the craft of AI art, the fact that AI art is a craft,
yes,
that it
yes,
is a skill, that you do have to go to classes to learn how to make the compositions that you see in your mind, and that it's a
yes.
skill
And
that can be acquired by a different set of people than can acquire the skills of paintbrushes. Do you think that
well,
public will
the
become more
beauty of
receptive?
AI is if you're in Midjourney, for example, even I can make an image, but it, as someone said in the chat, you do need imagination. I really feel if you want to be an artist, think about what you want to say. What do you want to say to me? What story do you want to tell me? What point of view do you want to express? Through your imagination, using the tool that AI is just a technology. It in itself is nothing without you.
Mhm.
So it's our responsibility to. Someone mentioned the black square. This is the thing with the minimalist movement and the abstract movement. They were trying to crack open and destroy the rest of history with figures and Christ figures and saints and um, noblemen and kings and Charles V on a horse and historical battles. They were trying to destroy all that and say, I'm going to put a black square on a white canvas. I say that's art, but what are they doing? They're using paint. They're using their hand. They're using their imagination. They're using a thought process to get us to understand what came before is not necessarily what is coming in the future.
Amazing, amazing. So I'm conscious of time. I know you don't have you can't stay with us the full 2 hours, but you have stayed with us for
So,
one. And I know you have to exit. Um, and snap. And this whole web page exited while I was talking to you. Um, did you want to make a concluding statement? And can our audience take a moment to share any feedback for Kentridge? What did you enjoy the talk? Now's the time you might applaud right before Kentridge has to go. You know where Kentridge has to go? To the Blanton. That's
um,
why
I,
she's
I
leaving us.
have I have been reading the remarks, and every remark is right. There's no wrong remarks because, as I said in the beginning, what is art is in itself an infinite question, and we can talk about it infinitely and hopefully never come to a conclusion. And in fact, you could even consider yourself that AI art is simply another step, and that it in itself is going to be destroyed in 10 years' time for some new thing.
Oh heck. Oh heck, I can't wait to see what that is.
Thank you.
Amazing. Kentridge, thank you so much for your talk and your discussion. And I know I have to release you back into the wild to run off to the Blanton. Um, uh, I hope that we will see you again. Fantastic conversation, as Vicky says. Yeah, I don't want her to go either, but what I can do is I think I could guarantee Kentridge, would you return to have this conversation? again or continue this conversation with us
Yes,
another week?
I think every now and then, either me or I can recommend people to continue this conversation, and it might, one thing that clarinet might think about, but it may not work, but it might. I'm just, again, throwing out a suggestion
Throw it out at me.
to make it even more interactive is as we speak about this and continue speaking about it, we actually have some of the community create an image that has, just for example, uh, a, in the image, a comment on immigration or a comment on climate
You
change,
think
just to
people can
pick
do that
some
on the fly?
on
I
the
don't know.
fly.
Well,
Yes.
oh my God. Well, that's a big ask. I'll
Yeah.
see.
Pick no, pick a topic, and all of us do that topic.
Okay. All right, we'll try it. You and I will work on it together so that it
All
can
right.
become that next
Thank you,
time.
everyone.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Kentridge. Have a good
Appreciate
afternoon.
it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, there she went. Wow. Well, that was very cool. Homework is a nice thought. I think our homework is to create a piece that says something. Like I admit it. I'll be the first to admit that most of what I spend my time doing with Midjourney is either to create just some interesting in piece of engaging imagery just for the purposes of a hook for social media or something like that, or like that's all I'm trying to do. And other times I'm just like, oh, what will Midjourney do? What will Midjourney do if I give it this? What will happen if I do it that? How do I prompt? How do I prompt this? Because I'm doing a lot of experiments. I'm doing a lot of tests, trying to figure out how if I prompt it this way, does it work? If I prompt it this way, does it work? I rarely stop and use Midjourney to say something.
Yeah. That's the whole, if you're an artist, you want to make art, that's the whole thing. Like, what am I trying to say, or what do I feel is important to say? But I feel like mine tends to be selfish. I just make things that I want to see
To
in the
look
world.
at. Yeah.
And if somebody else gets in is understands it, that's great. And I think another point of doing it, but purely it's about making things I want to see. But I know a lot of artists do have messages that they, you know.
Yeah. Mary Smith, what about you? Do you find yourself making things that you want to look at, or making things that say something?
I don't make art that says anything. I like art to make people feel a certain way. I like art that makes people feel happy and comfortable and peaceful.
So
More than political. I
right.
think there's so much politics going on right now, and it's dividing people up so drastically. And I just don't want to contribute to that. I would rather put something out there that helps to soothe people.
I think that's moving a needle, as Kentridge would have said. I think that there's a whole school of art, of fine art, of museum art, of commercial art that is intended to do that. And I do think that Kentridge didn't talk to us about commercial art or even really acknowledge it. She's a scholar, and so she thinks predominantly about fine art, museum art, right? That's what she does for a living. And commercial art and stuff, and the kind of art that you want to see in your home, it might not be the kind of art that makes you think about the Gestapo, or It might not be the kind of art that makes you think about the Depression, right? That's art meant to speak, to face society, to speak to society, to, it's political, as you say. And then there's all this other kind of art, which is not political. It has other objectives, and it satisfies those objectives very, very well, very beautifully, very elegantly. So I think that next time we have Kentridge join us, we can ask her what she thinks about all these other kinds of art, and where is Midjourney doomed to be commercial art only? Because if you make political art with Midjourney, that comments on Palestine or something, people are going to say, whatever, you made that with Midjourney. I don't know. I am really stymied by the fact that that people don't understand that using Midjourney is hard. Making something with Midjourney is not easy. Go ahead, Simvolia.
I just want to say that actually, because of there's so much war and so much hate in the world, and currently all the words they have so many meanings. I also started from doing something complicated and dark, and as you know, I love demons. But I went through a lot of changes within myself, and I think currently with AI especially, we are here to heal people. I don't know, maybe it's like heal, like healing of the heart, and so complicated things are great, but I don't know. I just want to help people to heal, so I create now cute things with demons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understood. So was there anyone else who wanted to make a comment about what is art and Midjourney images as art? Does anyone have any conclusions or anything they want to share? Because if not, we can segue to talking about Promptcraft. I guess if you are ready to segue, type ready. There's a small group of us, so that's why I'm looking for. If you're ready to leave this topic behind and talk about Promptcraft, type ready. Otherwise, let's just keep chatting. Colt says, owning a paintbrush or a pencil or a camera or a Midjourney account doesn't guarantee the creation of real capital A art. But in the same way that no tool can guarantee capital A art, there's also no tool which cannot participate in the creation of real capital A art. Oh, boom. Oh, drop microphone. Is there a drop microphone emoji? No. Oh, how about that? That's fantastic. There we go. I invented drop mic. Thanks, Simvolia. Info says, to me, art is using tools in new and creative and aesthetic ways. Okay. Very nice. I think that Kentridge was very focused on the kind of art that you see on my gallery art, fine art. I think that's what she was talking about. Go ahead, Mary Smith.
I would like to know if this event has been recorded, because I would really like to share this with friends.
It has been recorded. And I will put the URL in your chat there. All of our events are generally, unless they go totally off the rails, or we have conversations that end up breaking HIPAA or something, then I don't post them. I just protect us all and I don't post them. But when they stay on the rails, then they're generally on the YouTube channel. So if you ever want to go back to anything or point an AI, my favorite thing is to point an AI at YouTube and have AI pull some of the stuff from me. Get the information out. Okay, so Kwam, are you still with us? Oh, he is not. Kwam had some Promptcraft questions, and he was why I was going to transition us from talking about what is art to talking about Midjourney Promptcraft. We do have between 9 and 48 people on YouTube who might have questions about prompting in Midjourney. This is our advanced class. We teach like how to make multiple characters, how to make videos, how to use OREF. So Douglas, Lewis, or anyone else who is out there on YouTube, please type your questions into the chat and we will get you some answers. In the meantime, I will ask if anyone's working on any particular projects. With all the talk of fine art, I feel like my projects that sort of aren't worth mentioning. Because they don't tackle any big issues. Snoopy says, I am, but it's in the audio space right now. Is it AI audio, or are you doing old school playing a guitar or something? What do you guys think, Colt and Boban and Lux? What do you guys think of the fact that Midjourney is thinking you might be able to add like ambient sound to your videos? Snoopy says, I'm crafting tracks in AI to blend with known tracks DJing. That's awesome. Where do you DJ? Nowhere yet. Awesome. I love mixing ambient sounds. A lot of my videos, I spend a lot of time finding it's crafting soundscapes. Like I'll layer sounds, like I'll layer the sound of birds with the sound of a neighborhood with the sound of cars passing, you know, in order to go with my 5-second video of somebody releasing a paper crane out a window, right? Because I want to have a sound that suggests, you know, the missing context of that isolated action. Snoopy Lord says in the track, go ahead.
They're talking about adding that to Midjourney.
Yeah.
Could be interesting. I mean,
Colt
would it
says,
just follow the prompt, or would you add an extra prompt?
I don't know. I think you might. I'm thinking that you might. I don't know. I get the feeling like that you can somehow add some kind of sound to your, that you don't prompt for it, that they're out there somehow, like SRF codes.
Oh, I see.
I don't know. Foley editing. Thank you, Gugu. That's what it's called. Foley editing. Snoopy Time Lord says, and the tracks I make do often start with me inputting sound into Suno and experimenting with the cover feature. Oh, nice. Colt says, I didn't know how much I needed video creation until you gave it to me. I will probably find the same to be true of audio. Yeah, for sure. Hidden Mike says, it's interesting to think about art from 300, 200, 100, even 50 years ago. When a piece of artwork is created, people went to see it. There was more of a clear line between creators and viewers or consumers of art. Today, we are flooded with media day and night. So art seems harder to define or identify because of the sheer volume we are presented with. Are we better off with more art? Is there so much art today that it's harder to appreciate? I do think that there is more to see than anyone will ever in their lifetime see, Mike. I agree with that. I mean, like, I have never been to any of these Harry Ransom Center of events, which would, or I haven't explored their collections or their preservation and conservation initiative or their early books and manuscripts. All of this is out here. How is one person ever going to see it all? I don't know. I don't know. Even if there was this doesn't even acknowledge digital art or commercial art. I think you just have to find your niche, your niche, your nook and cranny. And that's the little place where you do your art appreciation. What do you think, Mike? Am I onto something or not so much? You agree? Yeah. Westendorf says channels, curation, stations, trends. Yeah. It's like the whole world needs to be searched by a hashtag right now.
Their exploration is going to be, there will be people who only go out and find these things and bring them back for people, and people will trust them, and they will become curators or a channel because there's going to be so much.
Gugu says in the past, before photography, art was also important for recording events, like the Dutch artists who recorded wedding couples, but in more than just a documentary way, also in new and different aesthetic ways. Colt says mortality in the presence of the infinite is part of the deal. The new artistic explosion is just a new infinite for us to deal with. Oh, interesting. On YouTube, Nuplex says, I tried to do a guy welding, and I wasn't really happy with the results. When I try to get something very specific like that is where I seem to run into issues. So all of us can probably speak to Nuplex on the topic of trying to do a guy welding. The first thing that comes to mind, Nuplex, is that a guy welding is wearing a particular protection gear, right? And he's carrying a particular tool. A welder, kneeling on the concrete floor. Let's see, welding a long bar of metal. Just randomly trying this. Midjourney probably doesn't have a wealth of information about what welders look like. So if you notice in all of these, with the tool he's welding with is completely invented. Like this one looks a little bit like, I don't know, a vacuum nozzle. This one looks like a wheel with a screwdriver attached. This one looks like a gasoline nozzle. This one looks like I don't know, like a craft welding device. The helmet is made up on all of them. The protective gear is invented on all of them because Midjourney doesn't really know. I mean, this one looks like Tron. This one looks like Star Wars, the helmet, I mean. This one looks like, I don't know, what is the mask of the, can't remember the drama mask one. So because Midjourney doesn't have enough data about what welders look like, it's never going to get the specifics of the welding helmet and the welding tool correct. Because Midjourney isn't trained properly on what that stuff looks like and how it acts. So Nuplex, I think that's probably why you're not happy with the results. And I don't think Midjourney version 7 is going to get better at it just because you prompt differently. I don't think it's a prompting issue. I think it's a training issue. Do any of my veterans disagree with my assessment here or want to add? to my assessment for Nuplex.
Sounds right.
Sounds right. Okay, yeah, Gugu's agreeing. It's not in the training. If it's not in the training, Midjourney cannot make it look right no matter what. So you don't even, Nuplex, you don't even have to try to learn how to prompt differently. In this case, it's probably not your prompting that's not working.
And do like this, if you know what the machine looks like, describe the machine instead of having Midjourney have to do it.
It still won't work because
Mm.
because I mean, if you say he's holding, I mean, let's try it. I don't even know how to explain that it won't work. A welder conflict for using a, well, I don't even know what it looks like myself. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see what it looks like.
Like these little boxes with tubes coming out of them.
A welder welding.
Like generators or something.
It looks like a I don't know. It looks like a gasoline nozzle.
I was looking up
Let's
welding
see.
machine.
Using a welding nozzle to weld a long bar of metal. If I call it a welding nozzle, does that help it? Oh, yeah, well, look, that looks like a real welding nozzle, but he's got two of them. Using a single welding nozzle. Well, there you go. That starts to look right. Sort of. His helmet is insane, though. I mean, I'd buy that for $1 if someone said, like, no, this is a real photograph. Well, this one, not so much. But yeah, so Colt says you can image ref in the necessary tools and protective gear. So let's say you like this one, but the helmet just isn't quite right. If I go into the editor and I have to I'm gonna take it into the full editor, then I can take off his helmet and go find a welding helmet that is correct. Like, let's say these are crazy. They're crazier than I thought. I want a welding helmet facing. Why do these all have screens on them?
It's the glass is to protect your eyes. It's like a special glass.
Wow.
Because it's so bright.
It looks like a monitor. Trying to find one that's facing the right direction. Okay.
Yeah, they're all facing left.
Yeah.
That black and white shaggy one. Up to the top, third from the left. But it's got a kooky
Yeah,
pattern
it's pretty
on it.
silly. Let's try this one. Okay. Copy. Image address. All right. So I'm going back and I'm putting it in as an image prompt. And I'm saying a welder wearing a black welding helmet. I don't have to really say the rest of it because it's already there. But now I could not fetch image. Well, no, I guess you can't. I couldn't get that image. Oh, there's too many things open. No, closing all of these. Here we go. Okay, see if I can get closer to this image. Oh, the URL is invalid. Of course it is. Of course it's invalid. How about this one? Okay. Copy image address. Could not fetch image again. Is the editor just like confused? Did it work that time?
Yeah.
Oh God, it's really
I
confused about the size of the thing.
think it's an iMac.
Oh my God. Well, anyway, Colt.
Maybe shoot up the stylization.
Okay. All right. Colt's like, this is not how you do it, clarinet. A welder wearing a gray welding helmet. Okay. And I'll take the IW down.
And would I mean,
But InfoGuru, that's fine, but you can't use OREF in the editor.
And clarinet, maybe show the settings for the newer people, where you can click on the settings and adjust things in there.
Settings.
Yeah, in there.
You want me to take stylization up?
Well, maybe for the new people, just show them where they can adjust so they don't have to type it in.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you can drag it up. I typed it, but if I use this stylization bar, it'll type it for me. Okay. Omni-reference not supported. Yes, we know that. Omni-reference not supported. Heck, what just happened? A welder wearing a gray welding helmet. Okay. Oops. Omni-reference is not supported by. No one will be seated during the watching me trying to type portion of this event. Copy image address. Paste image. Put stylization. Oh yeah, I'm doing it with this. Put stylization up to 1,000. And image weight I do have to type in. Did it work this time? It did. It worked. It worked. Did putting stylization up help it get smaller, more streamlined? Not really.
No.
But this is the process. Newplex. I think it's because this is not the helmet we chose is not on a person. Maybe if we chose a helmet that is welding helmet modeled, welding helmet guy. Okay, so what if we found somebody using the helmet like that? Copy image address. Colt, I don't know why you told me to do this. I mean, Colt's like, dude, I didn't tell you to do anything. But I've never had any success with this, so I'm like totally confused right now by this suggestion. Colt's like, I'm sorry, I'm just calling you out. How very dare you, Mr. Taylor? No, it's fine. I don't know how you have any. It's worse. I don't know how you got any success with it, Colt. You got to teach me how to do it. So if we instead start over and make this an omni reference and say, could we not? And say a welder kneeling on the concrete floor, and we've got an omni reference of the dude. And I'm going to reset the style. Now I've got an omni reference of him. Oh, I forgot to set the 3-2, but anyway, fine. Now it's going to take this guy, I hope, and make him weld something, and maybe the correctness of the helmet and his tools will come with it. And OREF saves the day. Does OREF save the day? No. OREF doesn't save the day. OREF makes it, well, maybe. This isn't so bad. I'm not sure what's happening with his left leg. His hand seems to be merged with his left leg, which is kind of scary. This one, well, this is a bad idea, sir. So maybe if we make that OREF, wait, like 50, take it down a little. The one with the, oh yeah, of course, very subtle. Yes, fix the leg, very subtle, fix it. Also, it would probably help if I had an AR that allowed the entire model to be expressed. No. Maybe. Terrifying. Absolutely not. Yes. Sort of. Maybe if I very subtle on this again. I don't know what's happening to his equipment, though. His equipment is going bananas. Oh, this one's looking promising. Putting him on the floor is a bad idea. Why don't we just say a welder, a welder standing at a construction table, welding 2 bars of metal together, on the rooftop of a skyscraper construction site. Ooh. Bye, Queen Lux. Hey, Reason, good to see you. Hey, Johnny.
Hello.
Hello. Unmuting Johnny. Who else?
Hi.
Hi. Oh, we also have Suck. I really love his profile picture. I'm gonna call you Duck instead of Suck, because you probably don't suck, but you might be an amazing duck. Mark James on YouTube said a few minutes ago, I appreciate your honesty. I think the fact that I said that Midjourney's training doesn't contain this stuff might genuinely limit Midjourney. Surprised him. But yeah, we're not here to oversell. We're here for honesty. And prompting in Midjourney and making Midjourney images is definitely a process. When something is almost right, you kind of have to stop and clean it up. Like, maybe this is correct except for this equipment, and I can use the editor to nudge myself closer. Well, it didn't work. Is that because it got upset about it's because I'm in special editor. Okay. So the images I got back are, that's much nicer. I mean, I don't know what it's supposed to look like, but obviously if I did, I could coach it closer and closer to what it's supposed to look like. I like how he's wearing a baseball cap and his welding helmet. Why not? So Nuplex, I don't know if you're still with us, but I hope that this all these different methods helped you out. We've got we tried the placement method that Colt suggested, and Colt probably has some skill set I don't have and get some success out of that. But I didn't get it. I wasn't able to do it. Colt is probably better at it than I am. And then we switched over to using OREF plus the editor to fix what OREF fails to do correctly. And as long as, Mark and Douglas and Nuplex, as long as you guys don't expect Midjourney to get it because you prompted it. Midjourney is a complicated tool like Adobe Photoshop or Procreate or any other tool you might use to make images. It takes multiple steps and efforts to coach the image toward the objective you have in mind. You can't, it's almost never can you one and done a particular image that you're trying to get. If you have something quite specific in mind, I would say 80% of the time, it's not a one and done. You're not just going to prompt it and go, shit, yep, there it is. I'm done. I got it. I'm just going to, print it. Let's go. You're going to be working on it. You're going to be doing some very subtles, and you're going to go into the editor and you're going to try different things. You're going to bring in image references, and it's a project.
Clarinet, I have a question about draft mode.
Yes.
When we work in draft mode, our images will be low quality. How do we get those back up to high quality? Do we vary subtle or do we upscale?
Neither. There's an enhance button.
Enhance.
So if I say a little owl on a mushroom and I use draft, it's going to come up really, really fast because, okay. And then there's one that I like this one. And then I click on it and there's this enhance button right here.
Okay.
Do you see it?
Yep.
And I enhance it. And what it does is runs it again, but it locks the composition and runs it again at quality 1.
And it does change it a tiny bit.
It does change it a tiny bit. But usually not enough to bother me. And I mean, even every time you do it, like if I take this same thing and run it at Q4, let me get the seed. Copy seed. Not that the seed is going to work, because seeds don't work in Midjourney. But let's pretend. And I do it in Q4. Well, first of all, we're going to be sitting here for 5 minutes. Secondly, it's going to be very, very different. 1, because the seed's probably not going to anchor it. And 2, because the more time Midjourney has to doodle, the more work it'll do. So it had time to, oh, this is the where the seed stuck, it looks like. But you can see it just, Midjourney had time to keep iterating. So it did. So every time you change quality, it looks a little bit different. I'll put these so you can see what quality 4 versus quality 1. Whoops, no, just the URL, thanks. Quality 4, quality 1, and quality 0.5.
What is the range of quality from what number to what number? Is 4 the highest?
4 is the highest. There's the 3 qualities. And in order to remind myself of what the quality values are, I'm actually going to go to our quality FAQ here. Okay, draft 1, 2, and 4. Here's the FAQ on quality. I'll put it in your Discord chat.
Very good.
Yeah, older versions could go down and up in different ways. The nice thing about the FAQ is it actually tells you when, like, it has a recommendation for when to use it, because that seems to be the FAQ. When should I use Q4? When should I use Q2? Yeah.
I ran into someone yesterday who was doing a whole lot of generating at Q4 and using Turbo, and it struck me that they were probably using as many GPU minutes on one image job as you would use on a video job in that fashion.
That's possible. It's possible. People,
yeah.
Some people will just burn through their minutes in minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, use Q4 sparingly. It's a great way. Like, if you really like your image and you feel like you're going to upscale it and it's going to be printed big and you really need, that's great. Here's another thing that I need to add to the FAQ. I really hate to say this, but if your starting frame, I'm writing this down to remind myself, starting frame parameters that help make more coherent and fluid videos have high stylize, high EXP, and high quality. So I did a bunch of experiments, and when my stylize, like, imagine my parameters were S1000, EXP 100, and quality 4. A starting frame with that made a nicer video than a starting frame made with a draft, for example. Now that's probably subjective on my part, but we can certainly explore that. We have a little bit of time. So let's make I don't know. I have these purple girls. I have these purple girls. We can use them. Okay, hold on. Let me just make a fresh purple girl. Give me a second. This is an old exploratory prompt. Okay, so I could make these purple girls, and then I'll make another one with XP100, S1000, and Q4. Going to take a beat to make it. Okay, which one are we gonna animate? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
I'm gonna say 4.
Okay, I'm gonna animate 4, and we'll just do an auto high motion just to get her moving. And here's EXP 100, quality 4, stylized 1000. She got a little thinner. Which one are we going to animate? 1, 2, 3, or 4? How about
2?
2. Okay. Auto high motion. Now, we're just randomly gonna, I mean, this is so impressionistic. These aren't seed locked. I don't even think if I seed lock them, I don't think it would create the same picture anyway. But you guys can maybe tell me if you think that the animation was better with the one that has, I don't know what it has. It's more refined. The edges are going to be better refined because it has time. It has time to put the dark outlines around her. I don't know. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know what the difference is. But okay, here's what regular quality looks like. She's looking around and screaming. It's going to be erratic because this old prompt says she's cute, she's happy, but it also says surreal, Dadaist, dark, and carnival atmosphere. So it makes her a little bit erratic. But keep an eye on her skirt and the light on her knee and the relationship of her, how it interpreted the background. Like in number 2, the background is a sheet she's leaning against, maybe. In number 4, it's separated. Okay, now let's see what these look like. To me, this is way, way more coherent. All of it is. Even though she's still being completely erratic and stupid. So if you guys want to keep experimenting with me, I don't want you to waste your minutes doing this, but wow, I was just really, really convinced. Maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe it makes no never mind.
So clarify, the only difference between those two, was it the EXP?
No, this one is max stylized, max EXP, and quality 4.
Okay.
And look at how this one starts. Like she does a little hop with her shoulders, and
yeah.
This one, the whole body moves. The hand comes out of the pocket. Look at the tummy is shaded. You can see the softness of the tummy and how it goes overlaps the belt. Where in this one, it doesn't do anything. The parts of her skirt, I mean, they just don't animate. They're stiff. Now, what I would want to do really is create an identical picture that, a seed locked picture somehow that is Q4 and but I can't do that entirely because EXP and stylize will change the picture entirely. But I could test, the best I could test is the difference between the cues. But I find that more of her face is animated. Like the skin is acting more normal on her than on her.
As we were talking about draft, I want to point out one thing, and it's kind of a little bit of a warning that seems to be a bug that has to do with remixing. If you like remixing from one model to another, be careful with drafts, because if you remix a draft image into a different model, such as Niji, I'm not sure if it works. I'm not sure if the bug happens with V6, but if you remix a V7 draft into Niji, you get a very, very poor quality image that will look like it's lower than 1/4 quality. So you need to like do either like a very subtle or maybe enhance before you remix to the other model.
Okay. Is there anyone here who regularly remixes across models? POD Journey says, seeds definitely work for me for testing things. It's perfect within the same session. Then they drift very slowly over the course of weeks and months. Hi, POD Journey. My name is Clarinet. I work for Midjourney, and I have information from the developers that might help you understand seeds. Seeds don't stay the same across sessions. Seeds stay the same if your job happens to hit the same farm and GPU as the previous job. And then you've got the what I'll call the same seed library, which is not technically true, but sort of like you'll hit the same seed library. But that's very hard to do with Midjourney unless you're and it's also, the seed libraries are different if you're in relax versus fast versus turbo. So there's so many things affecting seeds. They almost never match across jobs unless the jobs are hard and fast one after another. And nothing else has changed. It also even matters when you're running your jobs, when there's a lot of activity on the server farms, right? Then your job is more likely to be queued up in the next available GPU, which might not be the one that your last job ran on because somebody else grabbed it. So the queuing system also messes with seeds. So even if your impression is that seeds are reliable in Midjourney, that's more luck than the truth. So if you happen to be a Midjourney educator yourself, make sure to give that information to your participants, to your audience, because what happens is a lot of people think seed is going to control the composition or control how a character looks or control the color palette or a lot of things that back in the bad old days, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, seeds could actually do a little bit of that work. But basically not anymore. So I just wanted to be transparent about that for POD Journey's sake there on YouTube. Colt says, look, if starting image quality influences the clarity, lighting, and motion of the resulting video, would upscaling also help? And I was just answering, and I wanted to say this out loud to all of you, that no, because your starting image is downscaled to 480p. So it could introduce scaling artifacts into your video if we've had to downscale it. So although higher EXP, it's the explore or experimental, I don't know, add some beauty, and high stylize and high quality all seem to, in my opinion, help create more coherent, less jerky videos. Upscaling does not. Duck, this was the image the moderator wasn't allowing me to animate an audio. Oh, I have an image similar to that, Duck, which nothing is revealed, but it decided that it was too much of a male gaze sort of picture, and oh well, and it wouldn't animate it for me, but I could animate it with Sora. I'm not sure I could find that picture for you. So I just had to use a different tool. Midjourney is very unforgiving because there's so many bad actors that abuse Midjourney to do some really awful things. So I am perfectly happy to let Midjourney stop me from animating things if it helps stop those people. I am sign me up to help stop those people. But yeah, I've hit the moderator myself any number of times. That's right, because chestless males are culturally accepted. They're not as highly sexualized, but the woman with her knees spread open and her cleavage showing is sexualized. It's a more sexual picture, culturally speaking. And so Midjourney is going to prevent it, not because you are making an incorrect. You aren't pursuing something bad, but there are bad actors out there who are. And so those of us who just want a slightly sexy picture are stuck. Yeah, she looks strong and she looks sexy and she looks come hither, and it's a great image. But take it to Sora. Use your free minutes on Sora.com. Sora. And get it animated there if you want to do it. I think Sora will give you some free minutes for it. Yeah, Johnny Bone says if you want, you can try variations to get something slightly less spicy. We are comfortable talking about spiciness at Midjourney because we're never trying to stop you from healthy kinds of spice. Healthy spice is good. We are just trying to stop the people who are doing the wrong kind of spice. Oh, you must have seen, my dude. You didn't see the spicy? Are you blind? Maybe it's just we're so used to depicting women that way that where some people can't see it anymore.
I just noticed a control button to scrub.
Yeah.
The thumbnail. Is that new within the last couple of weeks?
No, that was at release.
Oh, okay.
Understood, Duck. I think the second one you have is definitely less spicy. I mean, she's no longer looking so come hither. She's looking like a strong barbarian woman in the second one. I'm not sure why this one wouldn't pass the moderator. I'm taking a closer look at it. It might just be too much exposed cleavage. And also the loincloth is almost flesh colored and the AI isn't very smart. So it might see that shadow as exposure. POD Journey says, "Hi Clarinet, I'm Snapdragon on Discord." Oh, hi Snapdragon. And Snapdragon says, "Strange, I have multiple identical tests and I've never had one come up different, even days and weeks apart with seeds. I mean, I can't, that blows my mind, Snapdragon. I'm literally like just staring at the monitor right now with my eyebrows crawling up into my hairline. I can't keep seeds stable for 5 minutes. Gugu, what about you? Are you actually having pretty good luck? I think that we'll get better luck with seeds as they bring server farms online. It'll be more likely that, we'll be able to keep our GPU for longer. Because the demand won't be the queuing up, the caching of requests and queuing up won't be so bizarre. You get them to last a few days, man. Okay, well, let's try it. Let's prove me wrong. I would like to be wrong. It could be that let's see, this is two days ago. It could be that it's changing. Because more server farms are coming online. That's what's going to fix it. Okay, this is 2 days ago. Yeah, that's the same. Well, it's very close. It's very close. It's not in the same order though, is it? That's weird. Is it? Maybe it is. Maybe it is in the same order. Very nice. So that's a seed lasting 2 days ago. That's great. Oh, I can't wait for that to be true. I can't wait to be able to not have to warn people about seeds anymore. Do you know how much of our time is spent warning people about seeds? Show of hands who has heard my seed speech, right? I mean, the seed speech is like people are like, oh God, here it goes, another seed speech, because I exactly. The seed speech. Colt, that's great. Johnny Bone says it's fascinating that seeds often carry semantic contents and not only composition and palette. Johnny, I've never heard that before.
I just put an example down under that.
Same
cartoon
seed at time of
pictures.
day, only the AR changed.
And it was a pretty vague prompt. Like I didn't describe the characters, but they came out like, fairly similar in ways.
It's going to come from the prompt. Seeds aren't capable of carrying information. See what Gugu just said? The problem is many users think seeds hold character, scene, style, just strong misunderstanding of the diffusion process. That's right. It's confirmation bias. I felt the same way about seeds until a developer made me what is it called, a come to Jesus talk? I had to be cured. I had to be cured, and they showed me how it worked, and I was like, okay, all right. Just ran it again from yesterday, and it didn't work, or did. Years missed. Oh, years missed. Yeah. Infoguru says seeds might seem to hold semantic content, but sometimes that's just because there are strong archetypes in the prompt. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be the prompt. Mm-hmm. It's always going to be the prompt. Colt Taylor says order isn't guaranteed, nor will all the images stay coherent. Do a repeat 5 on a seeded prompt, and you will find that there are really about 6 sets of images that are evolving across the iterations, with only a somewhat random subset of 4 of them showing in each set. Yeah, we call that seed drift. I don't know. I don't know precisely what the mechanism is for that. I haven't been able to pin down a developer to tell me, but I have the same experience. Like I feel like when I ran this last, the seated wolf was in this position and the holding the peach wolf was in this position. I'm probably just misremembering though. Yeah, with seed drift as we see drift. Sea drift, sea drift. Well, guys, we have come to the end of Promptcraft Live. I want to thank you for joining us. Promptcraft Live is our audience-led interactive podcast-style session for advanced Midjourney users. We're live for a 2-hour event designed for discussion and even friendly debate, not just passive listening. And we're live every Thursday and every Saturday for this particular event. So thank you, YouTube, for joining us. Thank you, Discord. I will release you back into the wild, and make sure that if you want to praise Kentridge, that you take just a second to use our tally form here to express to Midjourney that you enjoy the guest speakers, so that the quote bosses of Midjourney understand how to invest in events like these. That would be really helpful for all of us to take a moment to do. And if you're interested in Midjourney events, we do have a calendar that I'll put in your chat, and that calendar is also YouTube in the description of this recording. So feel free to check out those links. Thanks, everyone. We are adjourned. See you at Prompt Battles.
Yeah. Thank you, Clarinet.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.